Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Power Vacuum. I'm your host, Belmont, and I am coming at you with some major news. This is straight from the Nintendo Japan website. Whatever's translating it, I don't know what translation program I'm running. Whatever's automatically built into Chrome, I guess. Automat or whatever. Automata, I'm not sure. But they announced that they are filing a lawsuit for infringement of patent rights against Pocketpair Inc. For those of you that don't know, Pocketpair Inc. is the company behind the smash viral hit video game PALWORLD, which came out the beginning of this year in January 2024. Nintendo Company Limited, together with the Pokemon Company, filed a patent infringement lawsuit in the Tokyo District Court against Pocketpair Inc. on September 18, 2024. The lawsuit seeks an injunction against infringement and compensation for damages on the grounds that PALWORLD, a game developed and released by the defendant, infringes multiple patent rights. Nintendo will continue to take necessary action against any infringement of its intellectual property rights, including the Nintendo brand itself, to protect the intellectual property it has worked hard to establish over the years. Now, the reason they are attacking this company on patent rights is because they have failed at every attempt to get them on copyright, which is basically stealing visual likeness versus stealing mechanical likeness. Patents are for the machinations of something, where copyright is for the look of something, is a bastardized summary. Excuse me a moment. But we got this from Yahoo Japan, from Kiyoshi Kunihara. And it says, there was news that Nintendo and the Pokemon Company filed a lawsuit against Pocketpair developer PALWORLD for patent infringement. As you know, there were opinions that the monsters that appear in PALWORLD were similar in design to Pokemon, but it was too difficult to accuse them of copyright infringement. Nintendo exercised its rights based on patent rights, not copyright. Injunctions and damages were sought. PALWORLD is not free to play, so I can only guess from the introductory video on the YouTube, but aside from monster designs, the game system does not seem to be very similar to Pokemon, and it seems to be an open world game similar to Ark. If there is one thing in common, it is the part where you throw a ball-like object at monsters to capture them. If there is any infringement of patent rights, I think it's around here. Since the lawsuit was filed jointly by the Pokemon Company and Nintendo, we can assume that the patents were also jointly filed by two companies, narrowing the number down to 28. Of those 28, 4 were divisional applications filed after PALWORLD's launch. The most recent applicants was filed on July 30th of this year, and request for examination was made on August 6th. An accelerated examination was requested at the patent was granted on August 22nd. It appears that a system called Super Accelerated Examination was used. This followed by patent numbers. I'm not going to read these numbers. They're right here on the screen. 3 different patents filed the 5th, registered the 26th, filed March 5th, registered July 26th, filed February 6th, registered June 27th, and filed February 26th, registered May 30th. All of them have requested accelerated examination, probably super accelerated examination. It sounds like a Phoenix Wright attack, doesn't it? Like, I invoke super accelerated examination. Oh, I don't know. Both are divisional applications of applications filed on December 22nd, 2021. So the effective filing date is December 22nd, 2021, and the rights can be exercised against PALWORLD, which launched on January 19th, 2024. It appears that the scope of rights of the divisional applications of existing patents was amended to fit the configuration of the suspected infringement property for use in the lawsuit, a technique commonly known as embedding. Given that the timing, it seems natural to think that the lawsuit was filed after these patents were established. Let's take a look at the content of patents 7493117, which is easy to understand and seems to have a broad scope of rights. A game program which is in a first mode causes a computer of information process. Why is this so faint? computer information processing device to determine an aiming direction within a virtual space based on first operation input, which is a directional input, and with a second. Okay, this is patent speak where they get these vague things. In the end, thank you. All it says is that you throw a ball, a capture item, at a monster, a field character. Check if the capture is successful, and if it's successful, you can own the monster, and at that time, some kind of indicator, the specification says that it can be color or design instead of a number, indicates how likely it is to be captured. It seems like it would be hard to avoid if you want to make a Pokemon-like game and you're not careful. You'll likely infringe. It feels like a killer patent. I'll explain the other patents later. I'm going to stop right there. This is some dirty shit, in my opinion. I do not think patents should be allowed to be amended retroactively, especially, well, there are limitations. So whether or not these are going to go through is very questionable, because I know some of the limitations on patents are it can't wholly change the patent. It has to be a modification to the original patent in a sensible manner. Like, if you invented a patent that spun toilet paper automatically for you and ripped it for you, and you added an armature that made it easier, you can update that patent. That's fine. But if you made one that like crafted 1-ply into 2-ply, that would have to be like a separate patent. So I don't know if these patents are going to actually be approved. Nintendo certainly thinks they are. But to retroactively alter a patent because another game came out and was popular and used a similar process is pretty fucked. Now, if it goes through, will Nintendo win? Most certainly. They'll win in the court. The question is, will they win with customers? Will they win with gamers? Will they win with fans? Because when you send the message that we're willing to alter our patents in order to get a gotcha on another video game company, it makes you look bad in the eyes of gamers. And Pokemon's already on the decline as it was because it's just not fun anymore. I was a huge Pokemon fan. I completed every Pokedex from, not the original because that was almost impossible, like Red and Blue, no. But what was the second iteration? Starting from Leaf Green, Fire Red, the Game Boy Advance versions, whatever Game Boy Advance Pokemon there were. God, I can't remember them all now. But I know I completed all the Game Boy Advance Pokedexes. I completed Diamond and Pearl Pokedex, Black and White 2, what was it, Sword and Shield. And by that point, I was just like, man, these aren't fun anymore. Like, this game has been the same for the past 30 years. And when they finally did update it, it was like, too little too late, Pokemon. I've moved on. You should have done this shit like a decade ago. You had the technology. You could have done it the minute the Wii came out. But nope, they wanted to keep like chugging on and doing the same thing they'd been doing with the same like crappy sprite graphics, just updated like some of the moves, added some stuff. It just became a stale franchise. And as I said, too little too late. You know, Pokemon didn't update quick enough for the rest of the world. They didn't scale up to next gen graphics. They didn't scale up to next gen gameplay when they should have. And now these other people are coming out and making the most Pokemon clones are shut down because they get shut down based on copyright infringement. But for Pokemon and Nintendo to be like, all right, let's alter our patents so we can get these guys on patent infringement, which is something totally different than copyright, because they skirted the line of copyright. They hit that percentage that made it just different enough where we couldn't hit them, because that's how copyright works, is there is like a percentage mark. I think I've said this in previous videos, but it used to be 15%. There had to be a 15% likeness change, 15% wording change, 15% difference between the original work and the current new works of something else to not infringe upon copyright. I don't know if that's changed recently. I don't really know much about copyright. I probably should have looked up more for this, but I didn't. But that they couldn't get PALWORLD. They tried several different copyright infringements, failed on all of them. So then they altered their patents to retroactively get this game. And the fact that they're modifying old patents shows that they know they don't have a case otherwise. Because if they filed a new patent, it wouldn't affect PALWORLD, because how retroactive patent application works is patents can take up to 2 to 3 years to be approved. So if you file it, let's say you file a patent in 2022 and it doesn't get approved until 2025, the effective patent date isn't the approval date, it's the filing date. So say somebody infringed on your patent in 2024 and in 2025 it gets approved, because you filed it in 2022, it goes back, and that person that infringed in 2024 is now liable because of the filing date. Many of the filing, they filed 4 new patents this year after PALWORLD release, and then modified 3 old patents. That tells me that they know they didn't have a case. They had to modify old patents in order to make a case. And like I said earlier in this video, I don't know if this is going to go through. If it does go through and the modification is deemed within the realm of acceptability, Nintendo's winning this lawsuit. Now, what they're winning it for, who knows? Is it going to be just give us a big chunk of money and continue on, or is it going to be a complete closure of the game? That's something we're going to have to wait for the court case for. But on the other side of the coin, if the patents are deemed not within the acceptable range of modification and must be filed as new patents, they will only affect games moving forward, and PALWORLD will be in the green. They'll be basically what they call grandfathered in, where it means you were doing this before the patent, therefore you can keep doing it. Now, this would prevent them from making a PALWORLD 2, but they could endlessly modify this game and just be like, update, DLC, update, DLC, and perhaps continue on that way. They could also do something as simple as changing the PAL sphere, I think is what it's called, to a PAL dodecahedron, or the PAL dice, and it's like a cube and a dice you roll or something. I don't know. There's ways around it. The big one will be, one of the patents filed was for riding Pokemon, or riding creatures in a field, as it was, because it has to be generic language, because if they put the specific word Pokemon, then they can go, well, this isn't on Pokemon, it's PAL. But yeah, this is a very, very big development, very interesting choice by Nintendo. It does not make them look good at all, because PALWORLD clearly got around the copyright, so now they're going for the machinations of the game. And we'll see. I don't like this move by Nintendo. I think they should have updated Pokemon years ago. I think they should have taken it in another direction. They could have done so much more. And they chose to just use the same tired formula to the point where people like me, original Pokemon players, just got fucking bored. Like, I just got done. I was like, this game's not fun anymore. How many Pokedexes do I have to complete before it's like, hey, you're a Pokemaster. Woo, no, oh, you created 180 new Pokemon and added some old ones, so now you got to recapture these old ones that you've already had and these new ones just to enjoy this game to its fullest, because you're a completionist when it comes to these monsters. I don't know. I just got tired of it. I loved Pokemon for a long time. I watched the anime for the first, I think, 5 seasons. And then I kind of just tuned out because I moved on to bigger and better anime, But let's see where this goes. Waiting for this court date. Waiting for the translation of the court filing. I couldn't find the actual filing, but that's because it's a Japanese court. I don't have access to Japanese court records. They don't publish them the way American court records do. So once that becomes public, I'll probably look at that. Maybe do a follow-up video. But we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with this Pokemon and whatever it was called. Pocketpair. So that's just going to be something that's going to be happening. It's going to be huge either way, on either side, no matter which way the ruling or the verdict or the patent rights go, it's going to be a big change to a lot of what happens with Pokemon clones and monster catching games. But that's all I have for this video. Belmont out.